LXXVII, the number 8. The number 8 is the octad. Its planet is Saturn. Its constellation is the 8th, which corresponds to Scorpio. Its metal is lead, and among the stones is the black onyx. The musical note is Do in the 2nd octave. The laws of evolution and devolution are contained in the number 8. Those who are attached to evolution violate the laws of the Holy 8. They violate the laws of mathematics because each evolution is followed by devolution. These two laws form the Holy 8. These two laws of evolution and devolution cannot guide us into realization of the self. We need the path of the consciousness for this. Everything in nature and the universe is mathematics. The Holy 8 represents the brain and heart and sex of the planetary genie. We already know that the fight is terrible. Brain against sex, sex against brain, heart against heart. The Holy 8 has 365 precepts. We must not violate these precepts. 3 plus 6 plus 5 equals 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. 14 signifies temperance. It is the mixture of the waters. It is the work with the white elixir and the red elixir. When the fight of heart against heart is established, then the star of 5 points falls and remains with the 2 inferior angles aiming upwards. The number 8 is the primordial water because it is situated in the 9th sphere with the planetary brain. The waters are transmuted into energy, and when they rise through Ida and Pingala, until reaching the brain, they form the caduceus of Mercury, the Holy 8. One has to learn how to distinguish between a descent and a downfall. No one can ascend without previously descending. This is the law. Upon the supreme disobedience of Adam, the supreme obedience of Christ was superimposed. But Christ had to descend. Always when we want to ascend, we must descend, otherwise we remain stagnant. One can leave that stagnation only by descending. But let us distinguish between a downfall and a descent. The number 8 is moderation, the caduceus, distribution with justice. Chapter LXXVII, the number 9. The number 9 is the Enigon, or Enigon. It is the 9th sphere. It is related with Mars in the 9th sphere. Here one begins a fight with oneself against everything, against nature, because here in the 9th sphere, demons and gods are made. One must descend into the depth of the infernos in order to build the solar bodies. The 9th constellation, Sagittarius, corresponds to the number 9. Its metal is iron, its stone is the carbuncle, its color is red, its musical note is Re in the 2nd octave. The coronary plexus corresponds to the number 9, as well as the creative organs, the gonads, or gonads. The work in the 9th sphere has an objective: to create the solar bodies. One has to comprehend that even when an individual has built the bodies, immortality has not been achieved as a result. In order to gain immortality, to have worked in the dissolution of the ego is needed, because otherwise one is converted into a Hasnamus with a double center of gravity. These are abortions of the cosmic mother who enter into the infernal worlds till reaching the second death. It is necessary to achieve the elimination of the ego and the 3 traitors. One realizes what the ego and the three traitors are when one reaches 100% consciousness. The red demons of Set must be reduced to cosmic dust. It is necessary to verify absolute death, because if some subjective element remains alive, then the deceased is called to order. Those who have died in themselves are received in the world of the dead. To the number 9 belongs emotion, wisdom, generosity, geniality. Finally, we have 0, which is eternity, the universal spirit of life. One has to operate with all of the numbers in Kabbalah. The number is holy, infinite, and eternal. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches, to him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. Revelation chapter 2, line 7. Chapter LXXIX. The 7 churches of the Apocalypse of St. John and their revelation with the Kabbalistic tree. The first church, called Ephesus, or Chakra Muladhara, has 4 marvelous petals which are situated in the coccygeal bone, or coccygeal bone. The coccyx is base bone of the dorsal spine. Everything related with the 7 churches or chakras is found in the books, the Aquarian Message, and Kundalini Yoga, the Mysteries of Fire. This is in brackets. The second church of Smyrna, or Smyrna, or Chakra Svadhisthana, is situated at the level of the prostate, or uterus in the woman. It is the prostatic or uterine chakra. The ancient Persians and Egyptian magicians gave a lot of importance to the prostate. The letter which makes this chakra vibrate is the M. It is pronounced with closed lips by increasing and decreasing the tone of the sound. The M is of a singular power. The magicians utilize it. The third church of Pergamus, or Chakra Manipura, is situated in the solar plexus, the umbilical chakra. It has 10 petals. 5 are active in the ethereal body, and the other 5 are latent in the telepathic center. Here we find the emotional brain, and when this chakra is developed, telepathy is achieved. The fourth church of Thyatira, or Chakra Anahata, is situated in the heart, the cardius. It is a lotus flower that has 12 petals, which blazingly shine within the astral light. It is good to develop this chakra in order to learn how to enter and exit from the physical body at will. Moreover, with this chakra developed, to travel with the body of flesh and bones within the 4th dimension while in Jinn state is easy. Vishnuda is situated in the thyroid gland. This is the chakra of the larynx, which grants us clairaudience. It has 16 petals. The 6th church of Philadelphia, or Chakra Agnya, is situated between the eyebrows. This is the frontal chakra. It has 2 petals. Here we find the center of clairvoyance. The aura of people and the superior worlds can be seen with it. The 7th church of Laodicea, or Chakra Sahasrara, is the king of the chakras. This chakra has 1,000 petals. It is the center of polyvoyance, the center of intuition, the diamond eye. Each one of the chakras of the Nadi Chitta, or Chitra, is awakened while the Kundalini is ascending in the Brahma Nadi. Yeah, the Brahma Nadi, along the spinal medulla. The igneous serpent is related in Kabbalah with the whole Kabbalistic tree. What do we need in order to awaken the chakras? The principal point in the first church of Ephesus is the virtue of patience. In order to handle the creative energy, what is required is the patience of Saint Job. Lucifer is a ladder to descend, and Lucifer is a ladder to ascend. Chastity is the virtue of the second church of Smyrna. The third chakra is the umbilical chakra of the center of emotions. Then the special virtue for this is the control of emotions to kill desires, passions like gluttony, drunkenness, etc. You must be temperate to not allow emotions to drive you. The fourth chakra is in the heart. This is the center of love. One has to know how to love, to not hate. The foundation of this chakra is love. The fifth church is Sardis. It is related with the intellect, the mind. One must take care of the world, the verb. Just thought, just word, and just action. Upright thought, upright feeling, and upright action. Take care of the mind and of the word. It is just as wrong to speak when one has to be silent as it is to be silent when one has to speak. Sometimes it is a crime to speak, as well as it is sometimes a crime to become silent. There exist criminal silent attitudes. In the sixth church, one needs serenity in order to have clairvoyance. In order to see in the internal worlds, one has to not allow oneself to be driven by anger, because anger destroys the frontal chakra. Therefore, serenity is required. Heightened devotion, complete sanctity, and willpower are needed in order for the development of the seventh church. Virtues and qualities are related with the Kabbalistic tree, with its 10 numbers and its correlation with the 7 churches. Chapter LXXX. Kabbalah and the year one was born. We now continue with mathematics. Our entire life develops with mathematics. The law of karma develops with numbers. First example, Eduardo Del Portillo, date of birth, the year 1932. One adds vertically the year one was born into the same year, beginning with the last digit. So 1932, the process would be 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 2, which equals 15. So on top of that, the answer is 1947. 1932 plus 15 is 1947. Then we add those numbers, sum them down to a double digit. 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7 equals 21. You can refer to the Arcanum 21 for this. Then 21 is 2 plus 1, which equals 3. And this can also be referred to Arcanum 3. Another thing you can do is from 1947, we can add the numbers up, 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7, and add that onto the year, that same year, 1968. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8 equals 24. All these numbers have corresponding arcanums, or arcana. Uh, 24 is 2 plus 4, which equals 6. The enamored met his fiancée in 1968. 1968. Let's investigate this. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8 is a certain value, and if you add that value on top of 1968, you get 1992. With 1992, 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 2 equals 21. 2 plus 1 equals 3. This marks a spiritual and economic triumph that year. Do not forget it. Second example, Arturo Aguirre, date of birth 1937. So 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 7 equals something, and if you add that on to 1937, see, we're not just summing it down to a single digit just yet. We're adding it onto the year. There's an answer to that. I mean, there's the result of 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 7. Adding it onto 1937, you get 1957. 1957. 1 plus 9 plus 5 plus 7 equals 22. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Success in the material plane. (1957) added upon itself is 1 plus 9 plus 5 plus 7. And that answer added onto 1957 is 1979. 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 9 equals 26. 2 plus 6 equals 8. Tests and pains have the patience of Job. Third example. Louis Perez, year 1920. 1920, 1 plus 9 plus 2 plus 0 equals a value. Let's say it's 12. 1920 plus 12 equals 1932. 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 2 equals 15. 1 plus 5 equals 6. The 6 did affect the heart, the sentiments. The 6 is related with the moral part of ourselves. That year his father died, and that was very serious. 1932, let's investigate that further. 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 2 equals 1947. I mean, as a value, plus added on to 1932 equals 1947. 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7 equals 21. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Material and spiritual production. 1947 added upon itself. 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7 is a value. Added on to 1947 is 1968. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8 equals 24. The weaver. He became entangled in his own weaving, sufferings from which he has not been able to emerge. 24 is 2 plus 4, which equals 6, the lovers. Fourth example, Nicholas Naranjo, or Naranjo. Date of birth, 1946. 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 6 is an answer of some sort, a value. Plus 1946 equals 1966. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 6 equals 22. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Success because he found gnosis. Investigating further, 1966. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 6 is an answer, is a result on top of 1966. That equals 1988. 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 8 equals 26. 2 plus 6 equals 8. He will continue working with success. Chapter LXXX. Kabbalah, and the year one was born. We now continue with mathematics. Our entire life develops with mathematics. The law of karma develops with numbers. First example, Eduardo Del Portillo, date of birth, the year 1932. One adds vertically the year one was born into the same year, beginning with the last digit. So 1932, the process would be 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 2, which equals 15. So on top of that, the answer is 1947. 1932 plus 15 is 1947. Then we add those numbers, sum them down to a double digit. 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7 equals 21. You can refer to the Arcanum 21 for this. Then 21 is 2 plus 1, which equals 3. And this can also be referred to Arcanum 3. Another thing you can do is from 1947, we can add the numbers up, 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 7, and add that onto the year, that same year, 1968. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8 equals 24. All these numbers have corresponding arcanums, or arcana. Uh, 24 is 2 plus 4, which equals 6. The enamored met his fiancée in 1968. 1968. Let's investigate this. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 8 is a certain value, and if you add that value on top of 1968, you get 1992. With 1992, 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 2 equals 21. 2 plus 1 equals 3. This marks a spiritual and economic triumph that year. Do not forget it. Second example, Arturo Aguirre, date of birth 1937. So 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 7 equals something, and if you add that on to 1937, chapter LXXXIV, event of the day. One has to know how to choose with exactness the hour of the day or night to carry out successfully any activity. One can choose an hour, a day, a month, a year for his or her particular activities. Conventionalisms are not considered. For example, one should not use the 21st hour, but the 9th hour. So do not use calculate using the 24-hour clock. 9 p.m. would render as 9, not 21. First example, Victor Manuel Chavez. Birth date 11/17/1921. Inner urgency is 5. Fundamental keynote is 5. Date to investigate, May 14th, 1969. Hour of the event, 9 a.m. So the day is the 14th, which is 5. 1 plus 4 is 5. Month is the 5th month. Year is 1969. 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 9 equals 25. 25. 2 plus 5 equals 7. Add these all up. 5 plus 5 plus 7 equals 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. 8 plus 5, the fundamental keynote, equals 13. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Keynote of 5 I guess May 14th, 1969. With 4, one has to know how to complete business matters, details of any activity. The most interesting hour of that day was 9 in the morning. 4, keynote of the day, plus 9. Oh yeah, we're not done here. So, keynote of the day, plus 9, the time, is 13. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Again. At this hour, he had to take care of a job-related matter, and it went well for him. 4 is the base. It is to know how to complete matters in an organized, efficient, and practical manner. I just added that last part, but that's definitely on other expressions of it, or other aspects of it, rather. Second example, Mrs. Margarita Sancho Fernandez. Birth date, November 4th, 1943. Inner urgency 5. Fundamental keynote is 8. Date to investigate, June 13th, 1969. Time of event, 11 p.m. So the day, 4th, month is the 6th, year is 1969, which is ultimately 7. 4 plus 6 plus 7 equals 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. 8 plus the fundamental keynote, which is also 8, equals 16. 16, 1 plus 6 equals 7. Keynote, the 6th, 13th, 1969. One has to do battle so as to not fall. Energy should be directed intelligently. Struggle in order to rise. 16 is the fundamental, or rather fulminated tower. Struggle in order to rise. But the event of the day was at 11 at night, so 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus the keynote of 7 is 9. Event of the day, the event of the day is to work with the 9th sphere. But I'm thinking it could also very much be a pralaya, or an indication that a cycle is closing, because 9 is, that's certainly the number of the closing of cycles. It's the last digit in the single digits. It manages the end of cycles. With regard to the astrological hours, I have to dissent with many Kabbalists, because they believe that the inner urgency is governed by certain planets, certain hours. But keep in mind that the order of the calendar is altered, because this was convenient for the priests. The modern calendar is adulterated. The priests of the Middle Ages altered it with the goal of making Sunday the 7th day. But the real calendar is this. It goes, so it goes, the present calendar may start with first on the Sunday, or we just look at the weeks. We may start actually a week on the Sunday rather than the Monday. But the authentic calendar is Monday, then Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at the end. And so now the planet would be, in that case, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. This is the most ancient order because it is the order of the worlds of the solar system. The Kabbalists get tangled up, and if to that mess is added an adulterated calendar, When they choose an hour and specific day to act, it will not work. It will not yield results because it is adulterated. Mathematics is very exact. We should learn to utilize the hours. With this system, the exactness of deeds is proven. This subject of mathematics is very important in Kabbalah. The true astral clock is found by applying the 22 arcana to the hours of the day. Fifth part, Predictive Kabbalah. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing twisted or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. Proverbs chapter 8, line 6 to 9. Chapter LXXXV, Preparation. The most elevated kind of clairvoyance that exists in the universe is supraconsciousness. All of the avatars or messengers from the superior worlds have been supracognizant clairvoyants. Hermes Trismegistus, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus Christ, etc. were supercognizant beings, messengers from the superior worlds, initiators of new eras of historic evolution. Imagination, inspiration, and intuition are the three obligatory ways of initiation. We're going to examine each one of the three steps separately. Let us begin with imagination. For the wise, to imagine is to see. Imagination is the translucence of the soul. What is important is to learn to concentrate thought on one thing only. Whosoever learns to think on only one thing makes marvels and prodigies. The disciple that wants to reach imaginative knowledge must learn to concentrate himself and know how to profoundly meditate. The best exercise in order to attain imaginative knowledge is the following. While seated in front of a plant, we concentrate on it until forgetting everything which is not related with it. By closing the eyes, we become drowsy, and we keep in our imagination the form and figure of the plant, its structure, perfume, and color. The disciple will imagine the living cells of the plant. The disciple must provoke drowsiness during these practices. I will add that this is really essential because without the drowsy state, most people don't receive or see or notice or know any kind of intuitive insight. It's much easier with the drowsy state. Much more effective. So the disciple, while in drowsiness, will profoundly meditate on the internal constitution of the plant. It possesses protoplasm, membrane, and nucleus. The protoplasm is a viscous, elastic, and transparent substance similar to the egg white. Albuminoid matter, or albuminoid matter. The disciple, while in drowsiness, must reflect upon the four fundamental elements in the protoplasm of the cell of the plant. These four elements are carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. The membrane is a marvelous substance. Without color, the substance within which the water becomes totally insoluble. The substance is the well-known cellulose. The disciple, while concentrated, will imagine the nucleus of the cell as a small corpuscule where the great universal life palpitates. The nuclear filament is within the nucleus, as well as the nuclear juice and the nucleus, which are all covered by the nuclear membrane. Or the nucleolus, I guess. The nucleolus is formed by corpuscles infinitely full of shining beauty. These are residual products of the incessant reactions of the plant organism. The disciple, while well concentrated, must imagine with complete logical precision all of those mineral substances and organic combinations that are harmoniously unfolding within the cellular protoplasm of the plant. Let us think on the grains of starch and on the portentous chlorophyll, without which it is impossible to reach perfect organic synthesis. The chlorophyll is presented in granulated form, lucite, as a very beautiful yet low color, or centophilia, that becomes that precious green color of the plant while under the solar rays. Every plant is a perfect cellular community with incalculable perfections. The student must meditate on the perfection of the plant and in all of its scientific processes that are full of mystic attitudes and are enchanted with beauty. The mystic is in rapture when remembering all of the phenomenon of nutrition, relation, and reproduction of each cell of the plant. Let us see the chalice of the flower. Here are its sexual organs. Here is the pollen, the masculine reproductive element. Here is the pistil, or gynoecium, a very precious feminine organ with its ovary, stylus, and stigma. The ovary is a sac full of marvelous ovums. The stamen can occupy different positions in relation with the pistil. For instance, insertion beneath the ovary, insertion around the ovary, or above it. Fecundation is verified with the fecundation of the feminine germs and masculine gametes, or gametes. After exciting and the anther, the pollen, the masculine gamete reaches the ovary of the plant, where the ovum, the feminine gamete, is waiting anxiously. The seed is the precious and enchanted ovum that, after being fecundated, is transformed and grows. Now the student should remember the step on which he is meditating. A sprout will emerge as a delicate bud. Imagine it growing slowly until seeing it with your imagination, spreading branches, leaves, and flowers. Remember that everything that is born must die. Imagine the plant's process of dying. Its flowers wither, its leaves dry, and the wind blows them away. Finally, only a few things remain. Only a few twigs, really. This precious process of birth and death is marvelous. The meditating on the whole process of birth and death of a plant by meditating on its marvelous life, if the concentration is perfect and the drowsiness achieves a profound level, then the chakras of the astral body will spin, develop, and unfold. Meditating must be correct. The mind must be exact. Logical thought and exact concept is needed for the purpose of developing the internal senses absolutely, perfectly. Every incoherence, every lack of logical and moral equilibrium obstructs and damages the evolution and progress of the chakras, discs, or lotus flowers of the astral body. The student needs a lot of patience, willpower, tenacity, and absolute conscious faith. On any given day, within dreams, while in meditation, a distant picture, a landscape of nature, a feature, etc., emerges. This is a sign that there is progress. The student elevates himself little by little into the imaginative knowledge. The student is removing the veil of Isis little by little. On any given day, the plant on which he was meditating disappears. Then a beautiful child who replaces the plant is seen. That child is the elemental of the plant, the soul of the plant. Later, during a dream, he awakens his consciousness. Then he can say, "I am" in the astral body. The consciousness awakens little by little. In this way, the moment in which the disciple will acquire a continuous consciousness arrives. When the student enjoys continuous consciousness, he no longer dreams. He can no longer dream because his consciousness is awakened. Then, even when the physical body is sleeping, he moves himself consciously in the superior worlds. Exact meditation awakens the internal senses and performs a complete transformation of the internal bodies. Whosoever awakens consciousness has reached imaginative knowledge. He moves in the world of symbolic images. The symbols that one saw while he was dreaming are now seen without dreaming. Before he was seeing them with a sleeping consciousness. Now he moves himself among them with a vigilant consciousness, even when his physical body is profoundly asleep. When the student reaches imaginative knowledge, he sees the symbols, but he does not understand them. He comprehends that all of nature is a living scripture that he does not know. The student needs to elevate himself into the inspired knowledge in order to interpret the sacred symbols of great nature. Inspiration. Let us now study inspiration. Inspired knowledge grants us the power of interpreting the symbol of great nature. The interpretation of symbols is very delicate. Many clairvoyants have become homicidal or have fallen into the crime of public slander because of not knowing how to interpret symbols. Symbols must be analyzed coldly without superstition, maliciousness, mistrust, pride, vanity, fanaticism, prejudgment, preconceptions, hatred, envy, greed, anger, jealousy, and so on. All defects belong to the I, to the myself, to the reincarnating ego. When the I interferes by translating and interpreting symbols, then it alters the meaning of the secret scriptures, and the clairvoyant falls into a crime which can conduct him to jail. Introduction must be tremendously analytical, highly scientific, and essentially mystical. One has to learn how to see and how to interpret in the absence of the I, of the myself. It seems very strange to many mystics that we, the brothers and sisters of the international Gnostic movement, speak of divine clairvoyance with the penal code in hand. Those that think in this way consider spirituality as something that has nothing to do with our relationship to daily life. These people act wrongly. They are mistaken. They ignore that what each soul is in the superior worlds is the exact result of the daily life that every one of us lives in this valley of tears. If our words, thoughts, and actions are not just, then the result appears in the internal worlds, and the law falls upon us. The law is the law. To be ignorant of the law does not mean the exclusion of its fulfillment. The worst sin is ignorance. To teach unto the one who does not know is a work of mercy. The whole tremendous responsibility of the law falls upon the clairvoyant. One has to interpret symbols of the great nature in the absolute absence of the I. Nonetheless, self-criticism must be multiplied, because when the eye of the clairvoyant believes he knows a lot, then he feels himself infallible, omniscient, wise, and even supposes that he sees and interprets with the absence of the I. These types of clairvoyance fortify the I so much that they end up covering, or rather converting themselves into terribly perverse demons. When a clairvoyant of this type sees his inner God, then he interprets the vision in accordance with his tenebrous criteria and exclaims, "I am doing well." We have to know how to interpret, basing ourselves on the law of philosophical analogies, on the law of correspondences, and on the law of numerical Kabbalah. We recommend the Mystical Kabbalah by John Fortune. This book is marvelous. Study it. One that has hatred, resentment, jealousy, envy, pride, and so on does not achieve elevation of himself or herself to the second step called inspired knowledge. When we elevate ourselves to inspired knowledge, we understand and comprehend that the accidental accumulation of objects does not exist. Really, all phenomena of nature and all objects are found intimately and organically joined together, internally dependent upon each other and mutually conditioning each other. Really, no phenomena of nature can be integrally comprehended if we consider it isolated. Everything is in incessant movement. Everything changes. Nothing is quiet. In every object, the internal struggle exists. An object is positive and negative at the same time. Quantitative transforms itself into qualitative. Evolution is a process of the complication of energy. Inspired knowledge permits us to know the inner relationship between everything which is, has been, and will be. Matter is nothing but condensed energy. The infinite modifications of energy are absolutely unknown, as much as for historic materialism as for dialectic materialism. Energy is equal to mass by the velocity of the light squared. We, the Gnostics, separate ourselves from the two antitheses of ignorance, and we integrally study man and nature. Life is every determined and determinant energy. Life is object and subject at the same time. The disciple that wants to reach the inspired knowledge must concentrate profoundly on music. The magic flute of Mozart reminds us of an Egyptian initiation. The 9 symphonies of Beethoven and many other great classical compositions elevate us to the superior worlds. The disciple, profoundly concentrated in the music, must observe himself within it, as the bee within the honey, which is the product of his whole labor. When the disciple has already reached inspired knowledge, he must then prepare himself for intuitive knowledge. Intuition. The world of intuition is the world of mathematics. The student that wants to elevate himself to the world of intuition must be a mathematician, or at least must have notions of arithmetic. Mathematical formulas grant us intuitive knowledge. The student must concentrate himself on a mathematical formula and then profoundly meditate on it. Afterwards, he must empty the mind and make it completely blank, then simply wait for the inner being to teach the contained concept which is enclosed in the mathematical formula. For example, before Kepler publicly announced his famous principle that the square of the period of evolution of a plant varies directly as the distance from the sun cubed, that formula already existed. It was contained in the solar system, even when the wise did not know it. The student can mentally concentrate himself on that formula. He or she must empty his mind, become drowsy with his mind completely blank, and wait for his or her own inner being to reveal to them all of the marvelous secrets which are contained in the formula of Kepler. The formula of Newton concerning universal gravity can also serve us in order to exercise ourselves in initiation. This formula is the following. The force between two objects varies directly with each of the masses and inversely with the square of the distance between them. If the student practices with tenacity and supreme patience, his own inner being will teach or instruct him on the great work. Then he will study at the feet of the master, and he will elevate himself to the intuitive knowledge. Inspiration, imagination, and intuition are obligatory steps of initiation. Whosoever has raised the 3 steps of direct knowledge has reached superconsciousness. In the world of intuition, we find only omniscience. The world of intuition is the world of the being. It is the world of the innermost. In this world, the I, the myself, cannot enter. The world of intuition is the universal spirit of life. The world of imaginative knowledge is a world of symbolic images. So inspiration grants us the power of interpreting symbols. In the world of intuition, we see the great cosmic theater, and we are the spectators. We assist in the great drama of life. In the world of intuition, the whole drama, which is represented in cosmic scenes, is reduced to terrible arithmetical operations. This is the amphitheatrum, or cause of cosmic science. From that region of mathematics, we see that physical masses exist that are above and below all of the limits of external sensory perceptions. Above and below the limits of external sensory perceptions, there exist worlds, solar systems, and constellations populated by many types of living beings. The so-called matter is only energy that condenses into infinite masses. The senses of external perception are only reach a fraction of what is perceivable. Dialectic materialism and metaphysics are untimely and antiquated. We, the brothers and sisters of the Gnostic movement, go in a distinct way. It is urgent that scientists study the Treatise of Occult Science by Dr. Rudolf Steiner, great Hungarian medic, born in 1861, friend and disciple of Nietzsche and Ernest Hegel, and the founder of the Anthroposophical Society. It is indispensable that those who are lovers of science and investigate it in depth, the whole portentous Oriental wisdom, pour it as a river of gold in the immortal pages of the secret doctrine. This work consists of 6 volumes and is a monument of the archaic wisdom. The great master H.P.B. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky is the genius author of this precious treasury of the ancient wisdom. Those who reach supraconsciousness convert themselves into true illuminated clairvoyance. No authentic clairvoyant boasts about his faculties. No legitimate clairvoyant says that he is a clairvoyant. When a true clairvoyant sees something important, he gives his concepts in a very cultured way and with supreme respect for others. He never says, I am seeing. He always says, we understand, we have learned. This is how all of those that have reached the ineffable summits of superconsciousness distinguish themselves by their gentility, humbleness, and modesty. You should read Kundalini Yoga by Sivananda. Meditate on the Blessed White Lodge. Inquire within the Gnostic treasuries. Meditate on the profound symbolism contained in each one of the arcana of the Tarot. Those who reach the heights of superconsciousness enter into the amphitheater of cosmic science. The triple way of science, philosophy, and revolutionary cosmic mysticism conducts us into the ineffable regions of the great light. Gnosis is highly scientific, highly philosophical, and transcendentally mystical.